The strike came without warning. The combat hall of the Galactic War Academy was silent only seconds before it happened. Rows of alien cadets stood in perfect lines, their armor shining under cold white lights. At the center stood Commander Xerax of the Vorthian Empire, a towering figure with dark scales and burning yellow eyes. His voice carried power. His presence demanded fear. In front of him stood a single human student. Adrian Cole did not look special. He was not the tallest in the room, not the strongest. His uniform was simple. His hands were relaxed behind his back. His face showed no emotion. Xerax circled him slowly. "This," the commander said loudly, "is an example of misplaced confidence." A few alien students laughed. "Humans are fragile," Xerax continued. "They survive only because stronger species allow it." Adrian did not reply. That silence irritated the commander more than any insult could. "Do you disagree?" Xerax asked sharply. Adrian met his eyes. "No, sir." The calm answer only made things worse. Without another word, Xerax moved. His clawed hand shot forward, fast and brutal, aiming straight for Adrian's face. It was not a training tap. It was meant to hurt. It was meant to humiliate. Gasps filled the room. But the strike never landed. Halfway through the motion, Adrian's hand rose smoothly and caught the alien's wrist. The sound of skin meeting scales echoed softly in the hall. Everything stopped. Xerax's arm was frozen in the air. For a moment, no one understood what they were seeing. The Vorthian commander tried to pull back. He could not. Adrian's grip was not tight enough to crush. Not violent. Not shaking. It was simply firm. Controlled. The human student looked up at him calmly. "Sir," Adrian asked in a steady voice, "has the class officially begun?" The question hit harder than the grip. Silence spread across the hall like a shockwave. Alien cadets stared in disbelief. Vorthians were stronger than most species. Their bones were dense. Their muscles enhanced by evolution and war training. And yet the human did not strain. Xerax's eyes burned with anger. He pushed harder, using more strength. Nothing. The human did not move. There was no anger in Adrian's face. No challenge. Only patience. That frightened them more. After 3 long seconds, Adrian released the wrist. Xerax stepped back quickly as if burned. The room felt different now. The laughter was gone. The air was heavy. "You dare touch a superior officer?" Xerax growled. "You initiated physical contact, sir," Adrian replied. "I prevented injury." His voice stayed respectful. Calm. Even. That calmness broke something inside the commander. "Very well," Xerax said, his pride wounded. "Combat evaluation. Now." A wave of whispers ran through the alien ranks. No human had ever passed direct combat against a Vorthian commander. Not once. Adrian stepped into the combat circle without hesitation. Above them, the observation deck lights flickered on. Senior instructors watched silently from behind reinforced glass. Xerax removed his strength limiter from his arm. The small device clattered to the floor. Gasps echoed again. He was serious. Adrian removed nothing. He simply adjusted his gloves. The arena floor activated, energy barriers rising around them. Xerax bared his teeth. "You should have stayed silent, human." Adrian's breathing stayed slow. The bell rang. Xerax attacked first, moving faster than before, claws cutting through the air with lethal precision. But the human moved differently. Not wild. Not rushed. Precise. The first strike missed. The second was redirected. The third was avoided by inches. Each movement was small, efficient, controlled. The alien students leaned forward in disbelief. This was not luck. This was skill. Xerax's frustration grew. He increased speed, increased power. Adrian remained calm. And for the first time since he joined the academy, Commander Xerax felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. The strike that was meant to teach a human his place had done the opposite. And the real lesson had just begun. Commander Xerax attacked with full force. His claws cut through the air, fast enough to leave faint streaks of motion behind them. The combat barrier hummed as energy waves shook the arena floor. Alien cadets stepped back instinctively. This was no longer a simple evaluation. This was personal. Xerax aimed a heavy strike at Adrian's shoulder. The blow could break reinforced bone. Adrian moved half a step to the side. Not fast. Not flashy. Just enough. The claw passed by his uniform without touching it. Murmurs spread through the hall. Xerax followed with a spinning kick. It was powerful and precise, designed to overwhelm. Adrian lowered his body slightly and let the kick pass above him. At the same time, he tapped the commander's supporting leg. It was not a hard hit, but it broke balance. Xerax stumbled. The entire hall went silent. No one had ever seen a Vorthian commander lose balance in a student match. Xerax recovered instantly, rage burning in his eyes. "You are dodging," he growled. "Fight back." Adrian stood straight again. His breathing was steady. "I am fighting, sir," he replied calmly. The words felt like fuel to the fire. Xerax roared and charged forward, abandoning formal technique. His strikes became heavier, wider, meant to crush instead of test. But that was his second mistake. Adrian stepped inside one of the wide swings. In one smooth motion, he redirected the alien's arm and placed his palm against Xerax's chest plate. He pushed. It did not look impressive. It did not look powerful. But the effect was shocking. Xerax was thrown backward several meters, sliding across the arena floor before crashing into the barrier wall. The energy shield flared bright blue from the impact. Gasps exploded through the hall. Xerax rose slowly, disbelief written across his scaled face. "How?" one alien cadet whispered. From the observation deck above, a human instructor folded his arms with quiet interest. Xerax's pride was wounded now. He removed the second limiter from his other arm. The small device hit the floor with a sharp metallic sound. "You forced this," he said coldly. Adrian's expression did not change. "Sir," he said respectfully, "this is a training match." Xerax launched forward again, faster than before. This time he aimed for Adrian's torso with a combination designed to overwhelm even elite soldiers. Adrian blocked the first strike, redirected the second. Then, in a movement so smooth it almost looked gentle, he twisted Xerax's wrist and guided the alien's own momentum downward. Xerax hit the floor. Hard. The arena floor cracked slightly under his weight. Silence filled the academy. Xerax tried to rise, but Adrian's foot stepped lightly against the commander's arm, pinning it in place. Not crushing, just controlling. Adrian looked down at him. "Sir," he asked calmly, "would you like to continue the lesson?" The words echoed. Alien cadets stared in shock. No anger. No mocking tone. Just calm. Xerax's chest rose and fell heavily. He had never been handled like this. Not by a student. Not by anyone. For the first time, he truly looked at the human. There was no fear in Adrian's eyes. No hate. Only discipline. The combat bell rang loudly. Match complete. Adrian stepped back immediately and offered a formal salute. "Thank you for the training, Commander." Xerax slowly stood. The academy hall felt different now. The laughter from earlier felt distant and foolish. Because everyone had just seen the truth. Humans were not physically superior. They were not larger. But they were controlled. Every movement had purpose. Every breath measured. Xerax adjusted his uniform silently. "Class dismissed," he said, his voice no longer mocking. As the cadets began to leave, whispers filled the air. But above, in the observation deck, the senior instructors were not whispering. They were making decisions. And the event that began as humiliation was about to turn into something much bigger. Because the galaxy had just seen something it did not expect. And it was starting to worry. The silence after the match was heavier than the fight itself. Cadets left the combat hall in slow groups, whispering in different languages. Some looked at Adrian with respect. Others looked afraid. A few looked angry. Commander Xerax did not speak to anyone. He stood alone for several moments, staring at the cracked arena floor where he had fallen. Above, the observation deck doors opened. Senior Instructor Malrek, a tall silver-skinned strategist from the Keth Dominion, stepped down into the arena. His eyes were sharp and thoughtful. "Commander," Malrek said calmly, "report to the strategy chamber." Xerax stiffened. "Yes, Instructor." Malrek then turned his attention to Adrian. "You will come as well, human?" Adrian nodded once. "Yes, sir." Minutes later, they stood inside a circular chamber lined with holographic projectors. Images of battlefields, star systems, and combat simulations floated in the air. Malrek activated a display. Footage from the match replayed in slow motion. Every dodge, every redirect, every precise movement. "Commander Xerax," Malrek began, "state the moment you lost control." Xerax's jaw tightened. "I did not lose control." Malrek paused the footage at the exact second Adrian had stepped inside the wide swing. You expanded your attack range. Emotional response. Reduced precision. Zarek said nothing. Malrek turned to Adrian. Explain your strategy. Adrian stood straight. Sir, I assessed strength difference immediately. Direct power exchange was inefficient. I focused on joint control and momentum redirection. Malrek's eyes narrowed slightly. You analyzed mid-combat. Yes, sir. Zarek finally spoke. He was avoiding engagement. Adrian looked at the commander calmly. No, sir. I was choosing engagement. The room grew quiet. Malrek changed the display. A new hologram appeared. Human combat data from past wars. Not victories. Not defeats. Just patterns. Slow adaptation curves. Rapid improvement lines. Unusual recovery rates. You believe humans are weak, Malrek said softly to Zarek. Yet their species record shows something rare. The hologram zoomed in. Each time humans faced stronger enemies, their performance improved dramatically over time. They learn, Malrek continued. Faster than most. Zarek crossed his arms. Learning does not equal superiority. No, Malrek agreed. But discipline combined with adaptation creates danger. He turned back to Adrian. Why did you not retaliate with full force? Adrian answered without hesitation. Because this is an academy, not a battlefield. Zarek's eyes flickered slightly. Malrek studied Adrian carefully. Were you capable of ending the match sooner? Adrian remained silent for 2 seconds. Yes, sir. The answer was simple. Not proud. Not arrogant. Just honest. Even Zarek looked surprised. Malrek deactivated the holograms. There is something you both must understand, he said quietly. The Council has been reviewing human integration into elite programs. Today's event will accelerate those discussions. Zarek frowned. You would promote him? I would evaluate him, Malrek corrected. He stepped closer to Adrian. Your restraint is noted. But control can also be a weapon. Adrian's expression did not change. Yes, sir. Malrek turned to leave, but stopped at the doorway. Commander Zarek, he added. Strength without control invites defeat. Then he left. The room was quiet again. Zarek and Adrian stood alone. For several long seconds, neither spoke. Finally, Zarek asked, why did you truly hold back? Adrian met his gaze. Because you are my instructor. The answer carried no sarcasm. No hidden threat. Just fact. Zarek looked at him differently now. Not as a weak species. Not as an enemy. But as something unfamiliar. Measured. Dangerous in a way that did not rely on anger. Report tomorrow, Zarek said finally. Advanced division trials. Adrian nodded. Yes, sir. As he walked out of the strategy chamber, unseen eyes were already watching. Not instructors. Not cadets. But representatives of the Galactic Council. And what they had just witnessed was not a simple training match. It was proof of something they had feared. Humans were not rising through power. They were rising through control. And that was far more difficult to stop. The advanced division trials were not designed to test strength. They were designed to expose limits. The arena was larger than the training hall, built with layered gravity fields and shifting terrain panels. Hundreds of cadets filled the surrounding platforms. Word of the humans' fight had spread across the academy overnight. Some came out of curiosity. Others came hoping to see him fail. Adrian stepped onto the platform alone. Commander Zarek stood at the center this time, silent and unreadable. Today's trial, Zarek announced, is adaptive survival. The floor beneath Adrian shifted instantly. Gravity increased without warning, pressing down on his shoulders like an invisible weight. The smooth surface transformed into uneven metal ridges. Adrian adjusted his stance. He did not panic. Across the arena, 3 combat drones descended from the ceiling. Each one was armed with stun cannons and impact shields. This is not a duel, Zarek continued. This is pressure. The drones activated. They attacked together. The first drone fired a stun pulse. Adrian rolled aside, feeling the heat pass inches from his back. The second drone charged directly, shield glowing. Instead of retreating, Adrian stepped forward. He struck the shield at an angle, not to break it, but to redirect the drone's momentum into the third unit. 2 machines collided midair. The crowd reacted with surprised shouts. Gravity increased again. This time it doubled. Several alien cadets on the platforms shifted uncomfortably under the distant field effect. Adrian's knees bent slightly under the weight, but his breathing stayed steady. The remaining drone recalculated and changed strategy, firing rapid pulses from different angles. Adrian used the uneven floor to his advantage. He slid between ridges, forcing the drone to adjust its aim constantly. One precise movement. One clean grab. He seized the drone's cannon arm and twisted. Metal snapped. The unit crashed to the ground. The other two recovered quickly. Xerax raised his hand. The gravity tripled. Even watching cadets felt the pressure ripple outward. Adrian's muscles tightened. Sweat appeared on his brow. For the first time, strain showed. The crowd leaned forward. Now they would see the human's limit. The drones attacked again, faster and more aggressive. Adrian did not try to overpower them. He changed rhythm. Instead of dodging fully, he allowed one stun pulse to graze his shoulder. The impact spun him sideways, directly into range of the second drone. He grabbed its frame and used the momentum of his spin to throw it into the third. All three units crashed together in a tangled heap. Adrian stood still for 1 second, breathing heavier but controlled. Then he stepped forward and disabled the remaining systems with quick strikes to their core panels. Silence fell. The gravity field returned to normal. Adrian remained standing. He did not raise his arms. Did not celebrate. He simply waited. Xerax studied him carefully. "You allowed yourself to be hit," the commander observed. "Yes, sir." "Why?" "To create angle and opportunity." Murmurs spread again. Xerax deactivated the arena. "You adapt quickly," he said. Adrian nodded slightly. Humans survive by adapting. Before Xerax could respond, the main doors of the arena opened. 4 tall figures entered, dressed in dark council robes. Their presence silenced the crowd instantly. Representatives of the Galactic Council. They had not come for a simple trial. One of them stepped forward. "The human cadet will report for special evaluation," the representative announced. A wave of tension spread. Xerax looked at Adrian, then at the council members. "This trial was meant to test limits," Xerax said quietly. The council representative replied, "And it did." Adrian stood calmly as always. But this time, the trial was no longer about proving strength. It was about proving control under observation. And the galaxy was beginning to understand something dangerous. The human was not trying to dominate. He was trying to improve. And that made him far more unpredictable than anyone expected. The council chamber was colder than any arena. Tall pillars of dark crystal rose toward a ceiling filled with stars projected in perfect detail. At the center of the circular room stood a single platform. Adrian stood on it alone. Around him, 12 representatives of the Galactic Council watched in silence. Different species, different empires, all powerful. Commander Xerax stood at the edge of the chamber, not as an instructor now, but as a witness. One council member leaned forward. His voice was smooth and controlled. "Human Cadet Adrian Cole, you demonstrated restraint during combat." "Why?" Adrian answered simply. "Because power without control causes damage." Another representative spoke. "You could have injured Commander Xerax." "Yes, but you did not." "No." "Why?" Adrian looked around the chamber calmly. "Because he is not my enemy." The chamber grew quiet. A third council member activated a hologram. Footage of human wars appeared. Destruction, fire, ruined cities. "Your species has a long history of violence," the counselor said. "Why should we believe you value restraint?" Adrian did not look away from the images. "Because we learned from it." The answer was not defensive. It was honest. The hologram shifted to show humans rebuilding, cooperating with alien colonies, adapting technology faster than expected. "You improve after loss," another counselor observed. "Yes," Adrian replied. "And that makes you dangerous." Adrian remained still. "Yes." The honesty unsettled several council members. Xerax watched closely. The first council representative stood. "We have reviewed your combat data, your reaction speed, your adaptability, your restraint. We must determine whether humans are suitable for higher command positions within the Academy." The word spread through the chamber like electricity. Higher command. For a human. One counselor turned to Xerax. "Commander, your assessment?" The room waited. Xerax stepped forward slowly. His pride had been wounded days before. His beliefs challenged. But his voice was steady. "He controlled the match," Xerax said. "Not with force. With discipline." The council members exchanged glances. Xerax continued. "I attacked emotionally. He responded strategically." Silence followed. Finally, the lead representative faced Adrian again. If placed in authority over mixed species cadets, what would you teach first? Adrian thought for one moment. Control, he said. Not strength. Strength fades under pressure. Control adapts. The chamber grew still. Those words carried weight beyond a simple answer. The council representative deactivated the holograms. The galaxy misjudged your species, he said quietly. Adrian did not smile. We misjudged ourselves for a long time too. A faint shift moved through the council ranks. After several seconds, the lead representative raised his hand. By authority of the Galactic Council, Human Cadet Adrian Cole is approved for advanced command training. The decision echoed through the chamber. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. But it was historic. Xerex inclined his head slightly toward Adrian, not in defeat, but in acknowledgement. As Adrian stepped down from the platform, one council member spoke softly to another. They are not the strongest. No, the other replied. They are not the fastest. No, but they learn, and they control themselves. That, more than physical strength, changed the balance of power. Days later, cadets across the academy would remember the moment differently. They would not remember the strike. They would not remember the fall. They would remember the calm. The human who did not react with anger. The human who did not seek revenge. The human who proved something greater than power. That discipline could defeat pride. That control could overcome strength. And that humans were not dangerous because they were violent. They were dangerous because they chose when not to be. The galaxy had expected noise. Instead, it found restraint. And that quiet lesson would echo far beyond the academy walls.